Hey guys, Jack Spirko here again. I got a bunch of stuff for you today. We're going to do some planning today. We're going to answer some questions today. I want to start out with some questions I've been getting and try to answer them for you. I think most of these probably have been answered, but those little asides and not maybe directly, so we'll see what we can do to help out. Number one, fish. Are there any fish in this system? Not yet. Right now we're doing fishless cycling. So I have at least once taken a leak in here that provides ammonia and gets that cycle running. We have this is not labeled anymore, but this is some Garrett juice plus with fish. And I know sometimes like seeing somebody do something actually gives people permission in their head to do it. So let's add a little Garrett juice here. All right. So we drop a little Garrett juice in there. This is another product I really like, Dr. Earth. Any kind of liquid organic plant food will work for this. Blood meal. You can throw a handful of blood meal right in the water if you want to. What I usually do is when I'm starting out of bed, I'll sprinkle it around the top of the ebb and flow bed before I plant it. That gives us a little rapidly available nitrogen boost. And eventually we'll get fish in here. Doing things like dumping the Garrett juice in and all, that was probably about a quarter cup. You kind of have to feel it out as you go. Look at the way your plants respond. You do not really want to be doing a lot of that once you do get fish into the system. You can over-nutrient it and kill your fish, but right now you can't. And these things kind of drop their levels in the system pretty quickly once they start cycling through. Another thing that I did to help this system get off the ground was I put about a cup of liquid kelp in there, and these sound like fairly large amounts. I guess so far Garrett juice probably been a good cup and a half of Garrett juice has gone in, but over 300 gallons of water, that's not really that much. So kind of the easy way to get your aquaponics off the ground is to treat it like hydroponics that happens to have things in it that most hydro systems don't do. I've never seen a pure hydro system with an ebb and flow bed. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist, I just haven't seen one. I haven't really seen them with wicking beds. Pretty much I've seen hydro systems be, basically rafting systems. So they don't get any kind of assist or pH buffering from soil or filtration from things like this. You can do this. What I'll probably do, I'll give that, since I really wasn't going to add any more, but I did that just because I know sometimes people won't do something until they see you do it. So I'll probably, it's going to be Christmas Monday. Probably Tuesday I'll go by PetSmart and I'll pick up like 25 what I call disposable goldfish and I'll throw them in here. I'll start running some water tests, and as soon as I'm confident, I'll put my order in for the tilapia fry. They ship the next week. I will probably go ahead and order them before the end of the year. If this thing's out of whack or something, I have other places I could temporarily put them, but I'll tell you something about tilapia. The reason they're so popular is because they're so damn tough and so hard to kill. Another question I got is, do you get problems with things being root bound? Obviously not in this system, it's brand new, but I've made comments like I've had celery in some of the beds for years. I've had Swiss chard in some of the bed for years, beets, etc. I have never had any of those types of plants get root bound or cause any kind of problems. Tomatoes can get really aggressive with their roots over time, and sometimes you have to just give one up and pull it out. I'm a big believer when your tomatoes are growing, make clones of them. That way, by the time it gets hit with blight or whatever, you yank it out, you got a new plant to go right back in. So, with as much blight as we get here on tomatoes, I have never had tomatoes get that big. I've had mint. I have some beds that I run mint in. People are like, no, not mint, it'll take over the world. Oh, relax. Take a Quaalude or something. My God. They will eventually get enough roots into the system. It doesn't create dead zones. There's so many things that people worry about with aquaponics you just don't need to worry about. It's not a dead zone. But what it will do is it will create an environment where there's so much root that water starts to actually flow over the top of your bed. And you know what you do then? You rip a whole bunch of it out and you let it grow back. It's just not a big deal. So don't get too worried about this. I want to show you some mods that I made. I was going to try to use LED lights, grow lights like that. I'll still be using them in this system in different ways. I really didn't like the amount of throw that light got. So what I've got is one of my favorite grow lights. Kingbow reflector up there. They're 45 watts. They give really great coverage. I want to show you how good the coverage is. Because what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn this one off. And you can see that one light is really hitting this bed well. That's the last one of those I had available. So you can see I got a space right there. The other one's gonna go. So there'll be 2 of those. That should give this system all the light it needs, especially since it does get some light from my skylights. I don't think I've ever shown you guys that before. So we're gonna get a second one of those in. If I feel like it needs more, you know, there's room. You can put 4 of them up there. So we'll put in whatever's necessary. Remember, again, I'm not saying to do all your growing under grow lights. I'm doing this because we're indoors to overwinter fish, and I've turned the whole thing into an educational program. So what's going on here? Well, I had a bunch of this as scrap laying around, so I decided I'd go ahead and kind of cut it pieces parts and lay it in. This is where we're going to grow microgreens. I'll be pausing the camera in a minute, and I'll get it planted, and we'll put it back together, and we'll kind of show you the progress on microgreens. But you can see one of the things I've done is I've added extension pipe onto this this wicking bed. And the reason I've done that is if you look at it now, it's nice and damp. And we'll keep it running that high until our microgreens sprout, and then we'll let it run back down to more of a conventional level. And when you plant microgreens, it's good to cover them with something. So we're going to do microgreens in here. I've got some seeds soaked there, some daikon radish, and some sunflower. I'm going to probably do like, I don't like daikon as much, so I'll probably do like the daikon in this little area here, and then all of this will be sunflower greens. We could do that over there too, but honestly, that's more sunflower greens at one shot than I want. I want to do a mesclun, you know, lettuce, baby greens, mixing that one over there. I found one packet of seeds that's almost empty. I might have to hold off. I don't want to pile it all on with the same thing. And I haven't decided what we're going to grow here yet, but we'll get to it. Let me get this planted, and I'll get back with you, and I'll talk about how you plant microgreens and why we're doing it the way we're doing it. All right, guys, so I got this bed planted. You can see just about where I said. I've got daikon that was soaked overnight and sunflower seed that was soaked overnight. And I really recommend with most microgreens. Now, some is really, really fine seed like basil or whatever, or arugula. It's not practical. Anything with any size to it, radish, peas, sunflower, really makes sense to go ahead and soak them overnight. You get much faster germination, much better results. I wanted you to kind of see how they're planted. It's basically a single layer, as close as I can get them together without getting fussy about it. I'm not sitting there with my fingers rolling them around trying to spread them out, because that doesn't make a lot of sense. You just make them dirty, and you hand dirty, and you make clumps of mud. Honestly, I should have soaked a little bit. I've got a flashlight here so you can see a little bit better. I should have soaked a little bit more sunflower. You can see right there, there's some space. I want it almost coated, but it's not that important when you're doing it for, you know, personal use, hobby use, things like that. You get it perfectly right. The guys that do this for a living, that make, you know, there's people that make thousands of dollars a month selling microgreens to restaurants. They have a standard size tray, and they have a standard measurement that goes in that tray. They have a lot more procedure, but this is the basics of it. What they'll do then, though, is they'll stack their trays on top of each other and cover them for a number of days until they start to get germination, and then they'll remove and put it under lights. To emulate that, we're going to go ahead and I'll get the foam board stuck back on there. I got it numbered like a puzzle, so I can't screw it up. And we'll get that done. And we'll come back and, I guess, talk about a few other things before we wrap up for today. Alright guys, got it planted. I wanted to talk to you a little bit more about microgreens and some of the best practices in growing them. Like I said, when pros do this for profit, they have these little shallow trays. They're only about this deep, and I think they're like 11 by, I don't remember, 11 by 9 or something like that. And they've got it worked out to a science. And they put their soil mix in, and they have a piece of wood that they make some packer, and they pack it down really tight, and then they put their microgreens on it, they cover it with paper towel, and they stack their trays. And what happens if you watch, I've done it, I've got a whole setup for it, because I did a class on it for people here. And you'll actually see the trays start to lift. Even though they might have 7, 8 trays stacked, the bottom tray will actually start to lift all that weight as those sprouts start to actually expand and grow. So to emulate that here, what I did was I laid down some scrap pieces of 2x4 to put a little bit of weight on it. Once we start getting some germination, we'll go ahead and remove this. Once the roots get down in there, we'll drop the water level in the wicking bed. You'll see the whole process. And I'm going to estimate, it is pretty cold. I want to talk about water temperature too in just a second, but it's like 40 degrees sort of high today. Pretty nice in here. While I'm here working anyway, I got the space heater on, but the water with just one of the aquarium heaters running so far. It's a 300-watt aquarium heater. We're getting, I can't read it on camera, 66 degrees. I don't know if you can see that or not. 66 degrees. My water outside is 51 degrees right now. So that's a pretty good increase. And it took about 2 days of that heater running there to get that water up. When I put the water in, it was in the low 40s because it came out of my rain catchment tanks. But it really needs a second heater. I thought I ordered two. It turned out I ordered one. So I want to see what that one will do for me through. I got some real cold weather coming next week. That'll help me figure out exactly what I want to do. On lighting for microgreens though, what I'll probably do is throw I've got some, there's specifically 4 microgreens. They basically look like a shop light like that up there. I could put over it, or I could honestly just go ahead and run a white LED light on them. They do not need full spectrum lighting. You're only growing them up to, you know, again, microgreens about that tall. We'll see how they do, and I'll play around with it. Over here, since this is going to be baby greens, that spotlight right there with that LED grow light in it, that should be about perfect, so I'll probably suspend it directly over there. We'll see how that does. This guy down here, same thing when I figure out what it's growing. I may, because baby greens could use a little bit more light, and that maybe is better for like an intense thing. I might put another one of those 45s right up over there. It'd be really easy to do. But yeah, not bad for a temporary project, is it? It's starting to look pretty cool. And I got a buddy coming over. We're going to play around with some things for frost protection for my pipes outside, cook up some meat. So I'm going to wrap her up today. Hope you guys are enjoying this. Please post your comments, your questions in the comments in the video below. I'll try to get them answered in the videos as we go forward.